You know, not a lot surprises me these days, let alone makes me laugh out loud, actually laugh out loud. How often does that happen? Well, I was reading a story on TNC.news, that's True North, our friends in the independent media, and I just got to read you these first few lines. I literally laughed out loud, and that doesn't happen often. Data shows that the CBC loves to talk about Prime Minister Justin Trudeau's hair and socks. In fact, the state broadcaster has dedicated 76 articles which mention either Trudeau's hair, his beard, or his hosiery. Out of 98 mentions in these articles, Trudeau's hair makes a total of 50 appearances. His socks are mentioned 43 times, and his beard is referenced 5 times. And here's when I laughed. In comparison, the CBC spent more time reporting on the Prime Minister's physical appearance than they did on the recent arrest of Liberal MP Marwan Tabbara over assault and other serious charges. Tabbara's name only nets 60 results on the CBC website. A number of former Liberals MPs who faced sexual harassment allegations were also relatively ignored, including Darshan King, who got 81 mentions, and Massimo Passetti, who only received 73 hits. And the stats go on. I suppose it's not a laughter out of humor or joy, but just out of sputtering disbelief and to have it phrased that way. Well, joining us now is the author of this piece, Cosmin Dzsurdzsa, who writes for True North. Cosmin, I suppose now that I read it again, if I went, which I sort of did, it wasn't that it was mirthful. I wasn't saying, oh, I'm in such a great mood, I'm happy, it's like I watched a comedy, Dumb and Dumber, or something like that. The Dumb and Dumber here is how awful things are that you can actually do a study like this and come up with this result. That was what made me laugh. It was sort of a derisive laugh.
Right, it's kind of sad, really. I laughed sadly about it too while writing the piece. But I just wanted to mention, so your audience knows this, that data in that piece is actually a conservative estimate. If you're to take into account all the mentions on radio or on live TV, I suspect the number would actually be much higher than what was reported there.
That's a great point. That's just what shows up on the official CBC search engine. It's not just sexual harassment issues. You mentioned the alleged RCMP spy, Cameron Ortis, which is a terrifying case. That's only been reported 41 times. There's so many serious matters that would embarrass the Liberals that are just given a pass. I don't know. I mean, I suppose if Donald Trump were to change his hair radically, there would be articles about it. They would just note the change. But I've read most of these socks articles and hair articles, and they're not, Donald Trump changed his trademark hairstyle today. You know, that would, I suppose that would be notable. It's just, he's so sexy. Hey, Mr. Prime Minister, what's it like to be so handsome? Oh, those are wonderful. Like it's praise and flattery, like from a fan, like a fan organization or something.
Yeah, and there's also another element to that, right? Because a lot of those articles that actually mention Trudeau's hair, a portion of them complain about the conservative 2015 attack ad against Trudeau, which I think infamously ended with nice hair, though.
Yeah.
So it's funny that the CBC spends so much time complaining about the Conservatives, but when you actually add up all these mentions about Trudeau's appearance, whether it's his hair, whether it's his beard or his socks, it's quite a significant amount. I mean, I counted 76 articles. So in this industry, a lot of people get paid per article. So, you know, if you're to tally that up in terms of, you know, amount of words people were paid for, I think that might be a significant amount of money that comes out of the public coffers.
The money is the least of it. I remember the first sock extravaganza in the CBC. Right. They sent a reporter named Aaron Wary to Davos, Switzerland for the World Economic Forum. This was right after Trudeau was elected, his big splashy debut. It's where he met George Soros, it's where he met Kevin Spacey, all the creeps on the globalist left. And I remember reading that big, long story by Aaron Wary. It was the work of a fanboy. I mean, it was so loving, it felt romantic almost. And of course, Aaron Wary is assigned to the Trudeau beat. So if you're such a fanboy that you're writing like the president of the fan club, you're not doing accountability journalism. Like, this is the key CBC reporter assigned to Trudeau, and he's focusing on the trivia, on the glamour, if you could even call it that. How can you trust someone like that to be an accountability journalist if they've literally written about what a beautiful man Trudeau is? It's a form of corruption. I mean, maybe have a silly article in the silly pages, but to have your chief liberal watcher writing this stuff, that's embarrassing.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think the objective of this piece and other pieces I've written is to kind of prove the CBC bias in a numerical way using data, because that's hard to argue with. And, you know, the CBC is welcome to do their own count of how many times they've mentioned Trudeau's socks, hair, and beard. And I'm willing to see those numbers. But I think that by doing this, by showing the figures, we can actually, you know, say gotcha, because a lot of people suspect that the CBC has a bias. But for a while, it's been hard to prove.
That's an excerpt from my daily show, The Ezra Levant Show. Every day I do a monologue on the news of the day, then I interview an interesting guest, and then I read my hate mail. You gotta subscribe. Go to rebelnews.com.